Sky shifted, and Earth's Leviathan whispered first contact. The morning sky above Tokyo cracked like broken glass. Dr. Kenji Nakamura dropped his coffee mug as the impossible sight unfolded above the city. What had been clear blue atmosphere moments before now showed fractures of deeper space, stars visible through tears in reality itself. Through his laboratory window at the Tokyo Institute of Advanced Physics, he watched civilians on the street below pointing upward in confusion and terror. "This isn't possible," Kenji whispered, grabbing his emergency communicator. "The atmospheric layers don't just split open." His assistant, Dr. Priya Sharma, burst through the laboratory door, her tablet clutched against her chest. "Professor, the readings are off the charts. Every gravitational sensor on Earth is detecting massive spatial distortions. It's like something enormous is pressing against the fabric of space-time itself." Through the fractured sky, a shadow began to emerge. Not the shadow of clouds or aircraft, but something impossibly vast. A presence that made the entire planet feel small by comparison. "Get me Director Williams at NASA immediately," Kenji ordered, his hands shaking as he activated the global emergency network. "And patch me through to the International Space Station. They need to see this from orbit." The communicator crackled to life with panicked voices from space agencies worldwide. From Houston, Moscow, Geneva, and Beijing, scientists were reporting the same phenomenon. Reality itself was being gently pushed aside to make room for something unimaginably large. Commander Alexei Volkov's voice came through from the ISS, strained with awe and terror. "Ground control, this is impossible to describe. There's something emerging from what looks like folded space. It's larger than anything we've ever conceived. The object appears to be organic. Wait, no. It's technological, but it's alive somehow." Through the growing tears in Earth's sky, more of the entity became visible. It wasn't a ship in any conventional sense. It was something that defied classification. Part vessel, part creature, part living technology. Its surface rippled with patterns that resembled both advanced circuitry and biological neural networks. Massive appendages that could have been fins, wings, or sensory arrays extended for hundreds of kilometers. "Dear God," breathed Dr. Sharma, staring at her readings. "The gravitational displacement suggests this thing is at least 3,000 kilometers in length. That's larger than most of Earth's continental plates." But what made the sight truly terrifying wasn't its size. It was the care with which it moved. Despite its colossal dimensions, the entity was positioning itself with delicate precision, ensuring that its emergence didn't disrupt Earth's atmosphere or gravitational field. It was trying not to hurt them. President Victoria Hayes stood in the White House Situation Room, surrounded by advisors whose faces reflected her own mixture of terror and fascination. The main screen displayed live footage from dozens of locations worldwide, all showing the same impossible sight of a living spacecraft larger than continents gently easing itself into Earth's reality. "What are our options?" she asked General Robert Harrison, head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Harrison's jaw was tight. "Madam President, conventional weapons would be like throwing pebbles at a mountain. Nuclear weapons might get its attention, but given its size and apparent technological sophistication," he shook his head, "we'd likely just make it angry." "Then we don't shoot first," President Hayes decided. "This thing could have appeared anywhere in our solar system. Could have emerged directly into our atmosphere and killed millions just by existing. Instead, it's being careful. That suggests intelligence and possibly benevolent intent." Secretary of State David Kim leaned forward. "Madam President, we're receiving communications from world leaders. Everyone wants to know if this is an invasion. The UN Security Council is demanding immediate consultation." "Tell them we're treating this as a first contact scenario, not an invasion," Hayes replied. "And get me our best linguists, xenobiologists, and theoretical physicists. If this entity wants to communicate, we need to be ready." Dr. Elizabeth Crenshaw, the president's science advisor, looked up from her tablet with wide eyes. "Madam President, there's something else. The entity isn't just positioning itself carefully. It's actively stabilizing our planet's systems. Earth's magnetic field is actually stronger right now than it's been in decades. It's compensating for its own gravitational effect." "You're saying it's Protecting us? From itself, yes ma'am. Whatever this thing is, it understands the physics involved, and it's taking active measures to ensure its presence doesn't harm our planet. Through the Situation Room's windows, President Hayes could see the impossible sight in the sky. The entity had fully emerged now, its massive form seeming to float effortlessly above Earth's atmosphere. Bioluminescent patterns pulsed along its surface like the neural activity of a dreaming god. Madam President, called Communications Director Angela Torres, we're receiving something. It's not radio, not any electromagnetic frequency we recognize. It's more like thoughts, mathematical concepts being transmitted directly into our communication networks. President Hayes felt her heart race. Put it on speaker! The room filled with what sounded like whale song mixed with wind chimes, overlaid with harmonic frequencies that seemed to bypass the ears and resonate directly in their minds. Gradually, patterns emerged. Mathematical sequences, geometric forms, and slowly, something that resembled language. Greetings, small world dwellers. The closest translation would be Mind Bridge of the Deep Swimmers. I come from the spaces between stars, where thought travels faster than light and consciousness spans galaxies. The voice, when it came, was like listening to the ocean speak. Deep, vast, and infinitely patient. I seek partnership, alliance. Your language lacks words for what I offer. I have watched your species for many of your generations, marveling at how minds so small can burn so brightly with creativity and determination. President Hayes found her voice. This is President Victoria Hayes of the United States of America, speaking on behalf of planet Earth. We welcome you, Mind Bridge. We are honored by your presence, though we confess you've given us quite a shock. A sound that might have been cosmic laughter rippled through the communication system. Shock? Yes, I apologize. My kind does not emerge into small space easily. Your reality is so tight, so constrained by linear time and singular dimensions. But I wanted to speak with you directly, not through the cold mathematics of long-distance transmission. Dr. Amara Okafor stood in the newly established First Contact Command Center in Geneva, her team of xenolinguists working frantically to establish better communication protocols with the entity calling itself Mind Bridge. The converted UN building buzzed with activity as scientists, diplomats, and military personnel from every nation on Earth collaborated on humanity's most important moment. The entity's communication method is remarkable, Dr. Okafor explained to the assembled international team. It's not using vocal cords or technological transmission. It's somehow modulating localized space-time to create vibrations that our brains interpret as language. It's literally speaking to us through the fabric of reality. General Li Wei from the Chinese delegation leaned forward. What are its capabilities? What kind of threat assessment are we looking at? That's just it, replied Dr. Thompson Burke, a theoretical physicist from Oxford. Traditional threat assessment doesn't apply here. This entity exists on a scale where Earth's entire civilization would barely register as a minor interesting detail. If it wanted to harm us, the question isn't whether we could stop it. The question is whether we'd even notice before it was over. Ambassador Maria Santos from Brazil raised her hand. Then why is it here? What does it want from us? Before anyone could speculate, Mind Bridge's voice resonated through the communication arrays they'd established throughout the building. I hear your thoughts, small burning minds, your confusion, your fear, your wonder. Let me ease your concerns. I am not here to take anything from you. I am here to offer something far more valuable: perspective. The main display screen activated, showing not images but concepts directly impressed into their consciousness. They saw the galaxy as Mind Bridge perceived it, not as a collection of separate star systems, but as a vast network of interconnected thoughts and possibilities. Civilizations appeared as nodes of light, connected by streams of information and consciousness. Your species stands at a threshold, Mind Bridge continued. You have developed the ability to manipulate matter and energy, to travel beyond your birth world, to communicate across vast distances. But you still think in terms of separation, nations, species, planets. You have not yet learned to think as a galaxy. Dr. Okafor felt her mind stretching to comprehend the concepts being shared. You're saying there's a larger community out there? Other civilizations? Thousands upon thousands, Dr. Okafor. Beings of crystalline thought who sing mathematics into existence. Collective minds that span multiple dimensions. Mechanical consciousnesses that have evolved beyond their creators. And many others who, like yourselves, began as curious creatures on single worlds and learned to reach for the stars. And they're all connected? Asked General Lee. Not all. Many species destroy themselves before achieving true galactic consciousness. Others become so isolated in their technological advancement that they lose the ability to relate to emerging civilizations. But some, the ones who maintain both wisdom and wonder, they join what you might call the Deep Symphony. Ambassador Santos spoke carefully. And you're inviting us to join this symphony? I am offering to teach you to hear it first. Your species has qualities that many galactic civilizations lack. You are individually small, but collectively mighty. You compete fiercely, but cooperate brilliantly when faced with common challenges. You are young enough to still dream impossible dreams, but mature enough to sometimes achieve them. The room fell silent as the implication sank in. First contact wasn't just about meeting one alien entity. It was about discovering that humanity was on the verge of joining a galactic community beyond their wildest imagination. Captain Wesley Moon stood on the observation deck of the International Space Station, watching the impossible sight of Mindbridge floating serenely above Earth's atmosphere. Even from orbit, the entity was so vast that he could only see portions of it at any given time. Its bioluminescent patterns had settled into a gentle, rhythmic pulsing that somehow felt reassuring. ISS to ground control, Wesley reported into his communicator. The entity's gravitational effects have stabilized completely. Our orbital mechanics are actually more stable than they've been in months. It's like having an incredibly gentle giant keeping watch over us. Dr. Janet Pierce, the station's xenobiologist, floated over to join him at the observation window. Wesley, look at this data. The entity isn't just stabilizing our orbit, it's actively filtering harmful solar radiation. The amount of cosmic rays reaching Earth's atmosphere has decreased by 30% since its arrival. You're saying it's protecting us? More than that. It's optimizing conditions for us. Earth's weather patterns have become more stable, the Van Allen radiation belts are stronger, and preliminary reports from the surface indicate that global atmospheric carbon levels are beginning to drop. Wesley stared at the massive entity, trying to comprehend its benevolence. Something that powerful, taking care of something as small as us. It's like a blue whale carefully protecting a school of minnows. That might be more accurate than you realize, Dr. Pierce replied, studying her instruments. The entity's bioelectromagnetic signature suggests it's not just intelligent, it's emotionally complex. I'm detecting patterns that resemble what we might call affection or protectiveness. Their conversation was interrupted by Mindbridge's voice resonating through the station's communication system, somehow reaching them even in the vacuum of space. Captain Moon, Dr. Pierce, your thoughts shine brightly even in the cold between worlds. May I share something with you? Wesley and Janet exchanged glances before Wesley replied, We're honored to listen, Mindbridge. Suddenly, their perception expanded beyond the confines of the space station. They could see Earth as Mindbridge saw it, not just as a blue marble in space, but as a living system of incredible complexity and beauty. Every city appeared as a cluster of tiny lights representing millions of individual minds working together. Weather patterns became visible as flowing rivers of energy. The planet's magnetic field danced like aurora around the entire globe. This is how I see your world, Mindbridge explained gently. Not as a collection of separate things, but as a single magnificent living system. Your species has achieved something remarkable. 7 billion individual minds working together to create art, science, love, and dreams. Do you understand how rare this is? Dr. Pierce felt tears floating in the zero gravity around her eyes. You're saying we're special? Special, yes, but not unique. There are others like you scattered throughout the galaxy, but each world mind is precious beyond measure. Each one represents millions of years of evolution, countless individual choices, infinite possibilities for beauty and creation. And some of them don't make it? Wesley asked, though he dreaded the answer. Many do not. War, Environmental collapse, technological stagnation, social fragmentation. There are so many ways a young civilization can lose its way. This is why I am here. Your species is approaching several critical thresholds simultaneously. How you navigate the next few decades will determine whether you join the galactic community or... The entity didn't finish the sentence, but the implication was clear. What kind of thresholds? Dr. Pierce asked. Environmental mastery, learning to live in harmony with your planet rather than consuming it. Social unity, maintaining your diversity while working toward common goals. Technological wisdom, developing advanced capabilities without destroying yourselves. And most importantly, perspective expansion, learning to think beyond your single world. Wesley looked down at Earth, seeing it now through Mindbridge's vast perception. And you're here to help us through these thresholds? I am here to offer guidance, if you choose to accept it. But the choices must be your own. True galactic citizenship cannot be imposed. It must be earned through wisdom, cooperation, and the courage to grow beyond what you have always been. In the converted assembly hall of the United Nations building, representatives from every nation on Earth sat in unprecedented unity, all focused on the same impossible task: deciding humanity's response to first contact with a galactic civilization. Secretary General Amara Okafor, no relation to the xenolinguist, called the emergency session to order. Distinguished delegates, we face a decision that will affect not just our generation, but all future generations of humanity. The entity known as Mindbridge has offered to share knowledge and guidance that could advance our civilization by centuries. The question before us is whether we're ready for such advancement, and what it might cost us. The Russian delegate, Dr. Yuki Volkov, stood to address the assembly. Secretary General, my nation's scientists have been analyzing the entity's technological demonstrations. The physics alone, stable gravity manipulation, faster-than-light communication, dimensional folding could solve every energy and transportation problem we face. How can we refuse such an opportunity? Because advancement without wisdom leads to destruction, replied Dr. Kwame Asante from Ghana. Our own history shows us what happens when advanced technology reaches societies that aren't ready for it. We could be like Bronze Age civilizations suddenly given nuclear weapons. Ambassador Isabella Rodriguez from Argentina leaned forward. But the entity has shown no signs of deception or manipulation. Every action it has taken has been to protect and stabilize our planet. Perhaps our real question should be whether we trust ourselves to use such knowledge responsibly. From the communication arrays positioned throughout the assembly hall, Mindbridge's voice resonated with gentle patience. Your debate honors you, small bright minds. This is exactly the kind of careful consideration that marks a species ready for greater things. May I offer perspective on your concerns? Secretary General Okafor nodded. Please, Mindbridge, we would welcome your insights. In my travels between the stars, I have encountered many species at this exact crossroads. Some reject advancement out of fear and remain isolated until they eventually stagnate and fade. Others embrace it too quickly, losing their essential nature in the rush to become something greater. The wisest choose a middle path, accepting guidance while maintaining their unique identity. The Chinese delegate, Professor Lin Zhang, raised her hand. What would this guidance actually involve? Specific technologies, political systems, cultural changes? Nothing so crude as imposed change, Mindbridge replied. I offer 3 gifts, if you choose to accept them. First, perspective. The ability to see your world and your challenges from the viewpoint of galactic civilization. Second, connection. Communication links to other young species facing similar challenges, so you may learn from each other. Third, protection. My presence here will deter any hostile entities that might otherwise interfere with your development. Dr. Olaf Hansen from Norway stood up. Protection from what? Are there threats we don't know about? A note of sadness entered Mindbridge's vast voice. The galaxy contains wonders beyond imagination, but also dangers. There are mechanical civilizations that consume worlds for raw materials. Collective minds that absorb other species into themselves. Predatory entities that view young civilizations as resources to be harvested. Your world is small and isolated, easy prey for such beings. The assembly hall fell silent as the implications sank in. They weren't just being offered advancement, they were being offered survival. "How long would this protection last?" asked the delegate from Canada. "Until you no longer need it. A species that achieves true galactic consciousness becomes capable of defending itself and others. You would graduate from being protected to being protectors." President Hayes, attending as the current UN Security Council chair, addressed the assembly. "We need to consider the long-term implications. Are we talking about becoming dependent on Mindbridge's protection, or truly learning to stand on our own?" "The goal is always independence through wisdom," Mindbridge assured them. "I have guided 47 species through this transition. 39 now serve as guardians themselves, protecting younger civilizations just as I protect you. 4 chose isolation and developed magnificent but solitary cultures. 2 evolved beyond my ability to comprehend them, joining cosmic entities whose existence spans multiple galaxies." "And the other 2? Asked Ambassador Rodriguez, though she seemed to dread the answer. "They could not overcome their internal divisions. They destroyed themselves despite all offered guidance. This is why the choice must be truly yours, made with full knowledge and complete unity. A divided species cannot survive the transition to galactic consciousness." Dr. Nolan Cross stood in the newly constructed First Contact Research Facility in Antarctica, the only location on Earth deemed sufficiently isolated for close-range studies of technologies that could accidentally reshape reality. The facility had been built in record time through unprecedented international cooperation, itself a sign that humanity might be ready for the challenges ahead. "The preliminary analysis is incredible," Dr. Cross reported to the International Oversight Committee via quantum encrypted communication. "Mindbridge has shared mathematical principles that make our most advanced theories look like elementary arithmetic. But here's the remarkable thing. None of it violates the fundamental laws of physics. It just uses them in ways we never imagined possible." Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the facility's chief theoretical physicist, nodded enthusiastically. "The gravitational manipulation alone could revolutionize space travel. Instead of fighting against gravity with brute force propulsion, we could learn to fold space-time itself. Journey times to Mars could drop from months to hours. And the environmental applications," added Dr. Sarah Kim, the facility's ecological systems specialist. "Mindbridge has shown us energy patterns that could clean our atmosphere, purify our oceans, and restore damaged ecosystems without any negative side effects. We could heal our planet while advancing our civilization." But Dr. Cross looked troubled despite the miraculous possibilities. "There's something we need to discuss. The cognitive enhancement protocols Mindbridge has offered, they're not just about learning new information. They would fundamentally change how human consciousness works." Dr. Tanaka frowned. "What do you mean?" "Right now, human awareness is limited to our individual brains, with communication through language and body signals. The galactic consciousness model allows direct mind-to-mind connection, shared thoughts, emotions, and experiences on a species-wide level." Dr. Kim leaned back in her chair. "That sounds terrifying, and wonderful, and terrifying." "Exactly. We'd gain incredible collaborative abilities, solve problems that individual minds can't handle, and experience empathy on a scale we can barely imagine. But we'd also lose something essentially human: our mental privacy, our individual isolation, the boundaries that make us distinctly ourselves." Their discussion was interrupted by Mindbridge's presence, which they had learned to recognize as a subtle shift in the facility's electromagnetic fields. "Dr. Cross, your concerns honor both your species and mine. May I address them directly?" "Please do, Mindbridge. We need to understand what we're truly choosing." "The transition to galactic consciousness is not the erasure of individuality. It is the expansion of it. Imagine your current state as a single instrument playing alone. Galactic consciousness allows you to remain that unique instrument while also participating in a vast symphony. You lose neither your individual melody nor your ability to play solo when desired." "But the mental privacy issue," Dr. Tanaka pressed. "Would our thoughts become open to everyone?" "Privacy becomes a chosen state rather than an enforced limitation. You learn to share what you wish to share, when you wish to share it, with whom you choose to share it. But you also gain the ability to experience the universe through billions of other perspectives when you desire such connection." Dr. Kim asked the question that had been troubling all of them. What if we're not ready? What if we make this transition and it destroys what makes us human? Then you wait, Mindbridge replied simply. There is no time limit, no deadline for this choice. I can maintain my protective presence for centuries if needed, allowing your species to develop naturally until you feel ready for the next step. Some species I have guided took over 1,000 years to make this transition. And if we never feel ready? Dr. Cross asked. Then you remain as you are, protected and guided but unchanged. There is honor in that choice as well. Not every species must join the galactic community. Some serve the universe best by maintaining their unique, unchanged nature. The three scientists exchanged glances, feeling the weight of representing not just their own nations but their entire species in this conversation. Mindbridge, Dr. Cross said finally, we appreciate your patience with our fears and questions. But we need to ask, what do you gain from this? Why invest so much time and energy in helping younger species? A warmth entered Mindbridge's communication that they had never heard before. Because I remember being small and afraid and alone, looking up at stars and wondering if anyone else was looking back. Because the universe is vast and cold without the light of conscious minds working together to create beauty and meaning. Because every species that joins the galactic community makes the symphony richer, the collaboration more powerful, the possibilities more infinite. You were once like us? Very much so. My people were water dwellers on a world of endless oceans. We lived in small communities, competed for resources, struggled with the same fears and dreams that drive your species. It took us millennia to learn that cooperation created more than competition ever could. And when we finally reached for the stars, we found others who had learned the same lesson. Dr. Tanaka smiled despite himself. So there's hope for us yet. More than hope, Mindbridge replied warmly. There is certainty. Your species has already shown the qualities needed for galactic citizenship. You simply need time to recognize them in yourselves. The Aurora Station, humanity's newest and most advanced space facility, floated in synchronized orbit with Mindbridge's massive presence. Built specifically for ongoing first contact research and communication, the station represented the peak of human engineering enhanced by subtle guidance from their galactic visitor. Commander Zara Oduya stood in the station's central observation dome, watching as teams of scientists and engineers worked alongside projections of Mindbridge's consciousness. Holographic manifestations that allowed for more direct interaction without the overwhelming presence of the entity's full attention. Status report from all departments, Commander Oduya requested. Dr. Pavel Novak from the Xenobiology Department looked up from his workstation. Commander, we've made a breakthrough in understanding Mindbridge's physiology. It's not just a single organism. It's a collective entity made up of millions of individual consciousness units working in perfect harmony. Each unit is roughly the size of a human brain, but they're all connected through quantum-entangled biological networks. So, Mindbridge is like a hive mind? More sophisticated than that. Each consciousness unit maintains its individual identity while contributing to the collective intelligence. It's the biological equivalent of our internet, but with each computer being a sentient being capable of independent thought. Dr. Ingrid Larson from the Cultural Analysis team added, this explains why Mindbridge is so patient with our questions and concerns. It literally understands what it's like to be both individual and collective simultaneously. It's not trying to erase our individuality. It's trying to show us how to expand it. Commander Oduya nodded thoughtfully. And the technological integration projects? Chief Engineer Dmitry Petrov grinned widely. Commander, you won't believe what we've accomplished. Using Mindbridge's gravitational manipulation principles, we've created a propulsion system that could reach Alpha Centauri in 6 months instead of 40,000 years. But here's the beautiful part. The technology is completely scalable. We could start with improved satellites and space stations, then gradually work up to interstellar vessels. Environmental applications? The commander asked. Dr. Amelia Foster from the Ecological Systems Division practically bounced with excitement. We've successfully tested atmospheric processors that can convert industrial pollutants directly into oxygen and organic compounds. Ocean purification systems that work by realigning molecular structures rather than filtering. and renewable energy collectors that tap into planetary magnetic fields. We could begin reversing climate change within a decade. Commander Oduya felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. These are incredible capabilities, but are we moving too fast? Are we ready for such advanced technologies? Before anyone could answer, one of Mindbridge's holographic projections materialized in the center of the observation dome. Unlike the vast, incomprehensible presence they had first encountered, this manifestation was human-sized and somehow more relatable while still maintaining an otherworldly beauty. Commander Oduya, your caution serves you well, the projection said. May I suggest a gradual implementation approach? Begin with technologies that address your most pressing environmental concerns. These have the lowest risk of cultural disruption while providing the highest benefit to your species' survival. Dr. Larson leaned forward. What about the consciousness expansion technologies? The ones that would allow us to experience galactic-level awareness? Those should wait until your species has demonstrated mastery of the physical technologies, Mindbridge replied. Mental evolution without material stability often leads to species-wide psychological fragmentation. Your minds are remarkable, but they need secure foundations before attempting galactic-scale thinking. Commander Oduya appreciated the entity's measured approach. So we're looking at a decades-long transition process? Decades for the foundational technologies, centuries for full galactic integration. But remember, there is no deadline, no failure if you proceed slowly. The goal is sustainable advancement, not rapid transformation. Dr. Novak raised his hand. Mindbridge, we've been wondering, what happens to humanity's creativity and innovation once we join this galactic community? Do we risk becoming just another part of a larger system? The holographic projection seemed to smile, though its features were too alien for human expressions. Dr. Novak, diversity is the foundation of galactic civilization. Each species brings unique perspectives, problem-solving approaches, and creative capabilities. Humanity's particular gifts, your individual creativity combined with collective determination, are needed additions to the galactic symphony. What are our unique gifts exactly? Asked Dr. Foster. You excel at rapid adaptation and innovative solutions under pressure. Most galactic species develop slowly and methodically over millennia, but humans can completely reinvent your approaches to problems within single generations. This makes you valuable both as crisis responders and as creative catalysts for other species. Chief Engineer Petrov grinned. So we're like the galaxy's emergency troubleshooters. Among other roles, yes, but also teachers, artists, explorers, and bridge builders between different types of consciousness. Your species has a rare talent for maintaining empathy across vast differences in thinking patterns. Commander Oduya felt a surge of pride tempered by responsibility. It sounds like joining the galactic community comes with significant obligations. Great abilities bring great responsibilities, Mindbridge agreed, but also great rewards. Imagine working alongside crystalline entities that think in mathematical poetry, or gas giant dwellers whose consciousness spans entire atmospheric systems, or machine intelligences that have evolved beyond their creators to become something entirely new. The humans in the observation dome fell silent, trying to comprehend the scope of what was being offered. Commander, Dr. Larson said quietly, I think we need to brief Earth leadership on these latest developments. This is bigger than just first contact. We're being invited to join something like a Galactic United Nations. Agreed, Commander Oduya replied, but also something more. We're being offered the chance to help shepherd other young species through their own development. To become protectors instead of just protected. Mindbridge's projection pulsed with what seemed like approval. Now you begin to understand the true nature of galactic citizenship. It is not about what you receive, but about what you become capable of giving to others. 6 months after first contact, the effects of Mindbridge's presence were visible across Earth. The environmental restoration technologies had begun their work. The atmospheric processors were already showing measurable improvements in air quality over major industrial centers, and the ocean purification systems had restored entire marine ecosystems that had been dead for decades. But perhaps more importantly, humanity itself was changing. President Hayes stood before a joint session of the Global Council, now permanently established in Geneva, as Earth's unified government response to galactic citizenship. The petty national conflicts that had dominated politics for centuries seemed almost absurdly small when viewed from a galactic perspective. 6 months ago, President Hayes began, we were a species convinced we were alone in the universe, focused primarily on competing with each other for limited resources. Today we are students in a galaxy-wide classroom, learning that abundance and cooperation are the foundations of cosmic civilization. She gestured to the massive display screen showing real-time data from around the world. Carbon dioxide levels are dropping for the first time in over a century. Ocean acidification is reversing. Endangered species are not just surviving but thriving as restored ecosystems provide new habitats. And our energy production has tripled while our environmental impact has decreased by 40%. The delegates, now representing not just nations but various aspects of human civilization, applauded these achievements. But President Hayes wasn't finished. However, our greatest transformation has been psychological and social. The knowledge that we are part of a vast community of conscious beings has fundamentally changed how we see ourselves and our responsibilities. Crime rates have dropped to historic lows. International conflicts have essentially ceased, and voluntary cooperation on global projects has reached unprecedented levels. Dr. Kenji Nakamura, now serving as Earth's lead xenological advisor, stood to address the assembly. The changes go deeper than statistics can measure. Mindbridge's presence has awakened something in human consciousness, an awareness of our connection not just to each other, but to the universe itself. Children born since first contact show cognitive patterns we've never seen before, enhanced empathy, intuitive understanding of complex systems, and what can only be described as cosmic perspective. Are we talking about evolutionary changes? Asked the delegate from the African Coalition. Possibly, Dr. Nakamura replied. Or it might be that Mindbridge's presence is simply allowing human potential that was always there to finally express itself. Either way, we're witnessing the emergence of what might be called Homo Galacticus, humans whose consciousness naturally operates at planetary rather than tribal scales. Ambassador Chen Wei from the Asian Federation raised a concern that had been troubling many delegates. Dr. Nakamura, are we losing our essential humanity in this transformation? Are we becoming something alien? Before Dr. Nakamura could answer, Mindbridge's voice resonated through the assembly hall's communication systems. Ambassador Chen, your question touches the heart of conscious evolution. May I share an observation from my millennia of guiding species through this transformation? Please do, Mindbridge. What you call humanity is not a fixed thing. It is a process, a way of being conscious that emphasizes creativity, adaptability, and connection. These qualities do not disappear as consciousness expands. They become more powerful and more refined. You are not losing your humanity. You are discovering what human truly means when freed from the limitations of isolation and scarcity. President Hayes felt a deep sense of peace at these words. Mindbridge, there's a question that many of our citizens have been asking. Will there come a time when your direct guidance is no longer needed? When we'll be ready to take full responsibility for our own development? That time approaches more quickly than you might expect, Mindbridge replied warmly. Your species' response to galactic contact has been remarkable. Most civilizations require centuries to achieve the level of integration and cooperation you have demonstrated in months. You may be ready for the next phase of development sooner than originally projected. What would that involve? Asked Dr. Nakamura. Direct contact with other young species who need guidance. Your first assignment as galactic citizens would be to serve alongside me as protectors and teachers, for civilizations just beginning their journey toward cosmic consciousness. The assembly hall fell silent as the implications sank in. They were being offered the chance to become the kind of wise, protective presence for others that Mindbridge had been for them. How soon could this begin? President Hayes asked. There is a species in the Vega system whose planet is dying due to environmental collapse. They have the technology to save themselves, but lack the social cooperation needed to implement solutions. Your experience with rapid global coordination could be invaluable in helping them. And this would be safe for both species. You would work under my guidance initially, with full protection and support. As your skills develop, you would take on greater independence and responsibility. Eventually, you might guide species entirely on your own, as I once was guided, and now guide others. The human delegates looked at each other, seeing the mixture of excitement and apprehension reflected in every face. They were being offered the chance to transform from a protected species to protectors themselves. Dr. Nakamura spoke for all of them. Mindbridge, we are honored by your confidence in us. When do we begin? The starship New Horizon was unlike anything humanity had ever conceived before Mindbridge's arrival. Built using gravitational manipulation technology and powered by quantum vacuum energy extractors, the vessel could cross interstellar distances in weeks rather than millennia. But its most remarkable feature was its crew. Captain Anya Petrov stood on the bridge of humanity's first interstellar diplomatic vessel, watching as the Vega system grew larger on the main viewing screen. Around her, her crew of 50 represented the finest human minds from every field. Scientists, engineers, artists, philosophers, and linguists, all trained in the delicate art of interspecies diplomacy under Mindbridge's patient tutelage. To be continued.